the definition of smooth. I mean, that girl she holds that wheel so smooth, flawless, like Sandy said. But if you watch how she won this race, it wasn't just about how smooth she was or how fast she was. She was very, very methodical in what she was doing. As they'd come past the start-finish line, okay, let's talk about the entry to turn one. They'd come past the start-finish line, and about halfway from the finish line into the turn, she's running a lower groove, a lower entry. She knew if anybody was going to pass her, she's going to make them do it on the high side because the chances of them getting by on the high side were slim and none.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay, it could be done, but nobody wanted to take that chance.
Nope.
And they knew that. She knew that. So as they get about halfway to the entry of turn one, she'd lift that throttle, not touch the brakes. She'd lift that throttle. Everybody behind her would have to touch the brakes, slow down, and about that time she's getting back on the throttle and rolling into the corner, smooth at the apex and picking up the throttle and driving away from him. At the end of the straightaway, they were right there on her bumper. She'd lift. They'd have to check up. And they didn't, I mean.
Every single time. Every single time she did that.
You know, it had to have been a strategy the way that it all went down because
Absolutely.
she held them off every bit of the way.
And there was a couple different drivers that tried to get underneath
Yes,
her, tried to race with her, and she
couldn't do it.
It wasn't happening, Captain.
A couple tried to go the high side, and they just immediately came back down.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
You
they
know,
did.
and I noticed throughout the night is any of the drivers that did go to the high side, they'd lose one or two spots.
They'd lose spots.
I mean, that is
That track was.
I wouldn't say that. Anybody watch Kellen Chadwick come out of the B?
Yeah.
Well,
The
except
high
for
line
one
was
person.
there. Here's the thing: the high line was there.
You know,
It was there
but
if you knew how to enter right.
Nobody had the confidence in it because everybody that tried it.
Everybody but Kellen Chadwick.
Well,
true.
So one person out of how many? I mean, truly, though, I watched several people lose between 1 and 3 spots trying to pass people on
Troy
the high
Folger.
side.
Running second.
There
Running
you go.
second. Lost 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah, back to 5th. Or
Yeah,
something,
from
I think is
second,
what it was.
so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that right there, I'll tell you, the guys that were behind him were racing, every one of those guys took note. Every one of them.
Oh,
Nobody tried.
absolutely.
But here's the thing. From that point on, where did Chadwick make his passes?
On the high side.
No.
No.
don't-
He was cutting down, wasn't he?
He was passing on the inside of turns 1 and 2.
Yep.
On the inside of turns 1 and
He
2.
would get his nose down in there, and some of the drivers ended up having to go up a little bit.
They'd
so
come
he
in,
could get
he would
down.
watch them. He'd watch her line. They'd come in a little hot. He'd dive under there, and he'd steal that spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he got up there to the top 4, top 5. Then chaos broke loose, and he whipped the wheel of the outside. And I don't know how, with all 4 tires off the ground, how he didn't get caught up in that action and get tore up. But he made it work. Yeah, it was slick up there, Roy. But there was 1 or 2 guys that made some things happen. Marissa Henson. This girl's future in motorsports.
Oh, man.
Okay, do you guys realize that last year she was a rookie in a 360 sprint car?
No.
She won the Rookie of the Year and finished second in points. That's a 16-year-old girl in a sprint car, rookie, out of cage karts and the sprint cars, finished second in championship points, won the Rookie of the Year. Donnie Bottom, car owner for her, watches this and says, I got to have that kid in my car. Makes a deal with her. She's driving the car owned by Donnie Bottom. They call him Batman. That's why he's got the Batman logo on the front. She has won 4 races at a total of 3 different tracks this year. She's won 2 at Wairika, 1 at Sunset, and now Southern Oregon. And she's won the biggest sport mod race to date on the West Coast. I mean, $2,000.
Man, that was fun to watch.
It was fun to call when you see
Yeah.
these young kids, this talent coming up, and you see them develop, and they're, with some of the other young people that I've announced their first wins for, Bryson James
And
being
I've
one
been,
of them.
at school, as I've been there with some of them, right with you, and it is just so exciting every single time. The youngest driver at Willamette Speedway, I go back and watch his video because he was 12
in a late model. Got the win. McLean Bedoin.
McLean Bedoin.
Okay. Bryson
He was
was
13.
14, I think, when he got his first,
13.
not in a late model. He was
Oh,
12
that's
when he
right.
won his first street stock race. I think he was 13 when he won his first super sport race, which he had 15 races that year and won 10 of them. And then he moved into the late model that same year. His rookie year got a win. That same year, he won 3 track championships at one track: 500 open cage karts, street stock, and super sport.
Isn't that crazy?
And then you got guys coming behind
Love
these
it.
young kids, and Marissa Henson has got to be one of the most talented I've seen in that group to date.
It was making me chuckle though, walking, because I was on turn 4 doing pictures, and then I was walking back around through the crowd and listening to everybody talk about it. You know,
Well,
that's a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
How would that be to say you lost by one of those?
Well, when you're Jordan
it's
Broughton,
so funny.
I love that.
I love listening to that.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Broughton, and I don't even have to say how good Jordan. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
even need to be said how good he is. When he tries everything he's ever known in a race car to get by her
And
and can't pull it off, that tells you there's a lot of talent in that 17 car. You know, and everything worked out. I mean, she had the line that everybody wanted. She had the line everybody needed. She wasn't giving it up unless she came in too hot and slipped up, and that
And she didn't.
did not
she
happen.
She was flawless.
Impressive.
And some of the photos that you got of her, Nina.
Oh yeah, that car was beautiful.
It was, wasn't it?
It was sexy. Yeah,
And it's good.
I saw that.
Yeah, you got some phenomenal shots.
Yeah.
People are talking
You
about
got a
those.
Yeah.
lot of feedback on
Yeah,
those.
they did.
As good as her run was in the feature, what was the other impressive thing in the Sport Mod feature that, other than Jordan Broughton passing some cars and finishing second, what would you say was the highlight of, other than her winning, what was the highlight of that feature? Anything stand out to anybody during that race?
We need the announcer to tell us.
Yeah.
Did anybody see how deep in the field Mike Medell started
Oh, yeah.
and finished 4th or 5th? I think he was 5th. I want to say he started 16th.
Yeah, I watched him climb. Just climb right up there.
Medell, now he loves. You're talking. You're in his wheelhouse now. When you get that track they created at night number 2. I thought we were at the Budweiser Nationals there the second day because night number 1,
Mm-hmm.
the track
Yeah.
was just locked down, hammered down, tons of grip, a little bit rough, but it was all about
Power.
how hard can you drive the car. Well, some guys drove the car beyond its limits and broke some stuff. We saw a few broken rear ends. We saw a few drive lines coming out. But night number 2, when you put someone on a track that's slick and that smooth, that's a track made for Mike Medell. And Medell went through traffic, good traffic, from the back of the A to drive to a top 5 at that race. That, to me, was an impressive run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was wheeling. We had a camera on his car for that.
Sure did.
We also had a camera on the 17 car that won, Marissa
Sure
Henson.
did.
We haven't looked at those yet. It
Mm.
took Corey, a full day to recover.
And then it's just been nonstop.
It's just been, yeah.
Dave and I will start working on some of that stuff either tonight or tomorrow. We'll get into the video and start doing some editing. But phenomenal weekend. Pro Stock. Let's talk about Pro Stock on night number 2. Their third and final visit of the season. Scott Lenz is clearly the class of the field in that division. He was looking for the sweep on the season, looking to go 3 for 3. Started way, way deep in the field. Early in the race, gets into the backside of the 15 of Jeffrey Hudson. This kid here, when I talk about young talent, remember that name, Jeffrey Hudson. He is going to be somebody, I'll promise you that. They were into turn 3. Scott gets in a little hot, gets into the backside of him, breaks the right front tie rod, pulls off the track, and they go to work in the hot pit. They restart the race, and a caution comes out. So they go through the lineup, and they get everybody right, and they restart the race, and a caution comes out. And I'm going, this just may work to Scott Lynn's advantage. They may get this thing fixed and get him back on the track. Third restart, down the back straightaway, coming into turn 3. We think we're going to get a lap completed. Caution comes out.
Yeah.
This is doing nothing but helping Scott Lenz. We've got 0 laps down. We haven't even started the race yet. And they're back there working on the car. While we're under a long caution to clean up a couple cars that were wrecked, who pulls back on the track? Scott Lenz. Went to the back of the pack, still on the lead lap, no laps completed, and within a couple of laps, was sitting third. Drove by, went through every line you could imagine he used to get by. He drove past
He was
everybody.
like a madman on the freeway just trying to get home.
But
Huh.
I mean,
It was smooth.
he's
It
a
was
very,
smooth.
very good driver.
Yes,
And
is.
he went through that field kind of like, okay, Lenz is on a mission here. He wants that sweep. He wants the win at the Art Charles. You know, that race means a lot to a lot of people. And he gets the second. They got the green. They start racing. And when he got to second, hold on a second here. Our leader was, I know Roy Van will help me out. So much happened that weekend.
It's all blurred.
The leader was, at the time, he ended up winning the race. Gosh, I can see the car. I just can't remember the number. Anyway, Roy will tell me. Scott Lenz worked and worked and worked to get on him. Now, because of the long cautions, race was cut from 25 to 20. Okay. The final caution came. Jeff Hodenshield. That's the name I was looking for.
We love you, Roy.
And I thought, man, here we are in the closing laps under caution, and Hodenshield has a chance to end the win streak of Scott Lenz. Got the green flag, and Lenz did everything he could to get by Hodenshield, and it was not happening. Hodenshield, that was a big win for him. That's probably the biggest win of Jeff Hodenshield's career in the Pro Stock Series. It has to be. You know, the R. Charles, the prestige that comes with winning that one and beating Scott Lenz, and that was an awesome race. That was a fun race to watch. It's not funny, Roy. I should know that. Laugh out loud. I'll tell you something
it's
funny.
It's because Sandy loves Roy Bang.
Well, here's the
That's
thing.
what he's responding to.
So we're walking
Right,
through
Roy?
the pit area. Let's go back. We're walking through the pit area, day 2. Pro Stocks are there. And we go to talk to Roy, to his pit area, and old Roy isn't anywhere to be found. So Gary and I, being the jokesters that we are, decided, you know what?
Oh,
Let's tag him up.
I was there.
Let's tag him up.
I was
That's
there.
So
it.
we peeled off a couple Moxie stickers, wiped off the sheet metal, put them up on the sail panel, right? And we left.
And didn't say anything.
We didn't
just
say
left.
a word. This is the funny part, okay? This is the funny part about this. About an hour later, after we were hanging out with Derek Nance and talking with those guys, I'm walking back through the pit area, and someone says, "Oh,
Roy moved his car."
Roy moved his car." And we all kind of laugh. Well, all the Pro Stocks are pitting out in the overflow. Roy comes walking up, and he's like, "Hey, Corey, what's going on?" I said, "Hey, Roy, how you doing?" We got to talking a little bit, and I said, "How'd you like your car?" And he goes, "Oh, I haven't been on the track yet." Or we were kind of. And I said, "Oh, so you don't know?" He goes, "I don't know what." He had no idea, and I said, "Oh, I'm looking at his car," and I said, "Oh, we decided to, we're looking way across," and I said, "We decided to put some Moxie stickers on your car," and he goes, "What?" And he looks over, and he goes, "Oh, I can see him now." How do you miss those?
He didn't even.
He had no idea.
Well, there was no other stickers on there, right?
I don't
Was
think
that the car that had nothing on
he's
it?
got. It's the pink, the blue with the bright pink, and
There was no other
Yeah.
stickers on
I
that
think there
car.
might have been.
Yeah?
I like his wheels.
I told him those stickers were worth 2/10. You know, the joke that we talk about, and he says, "And I appreciate it. I made it to 6th unscathed, so I'll take it." See, little Moxie.
So maybe it
little
didn't
Moxie
make
karma
him
there.
faster, but what made people stay away from him? Is
Yeah.
that the deal? Put a little, bumper on
bubble.
him, a little bubble, so people couldn't bump him.
2/10.
2/10.
2/10.
How
That's
many
it.
2/10 did you give him?
We just
One.
get one on
Just
each side.
2/10, one on each side.
1/10 per sticker.
But when you got a car that is, it's not purple. What would you call that blue?
Lapis. I don't know.
It's a.
What?
I don't know
Lapis blue.
those.
I don't
phrases.
like
I didn't- I never-
magenta.
Purple,
Trying to find a
pink.
picture of
I
it.
never had that crayon in my color box. Lapis.
Dude,
Lapis?
that's
I had
'cause
cornflower.
What
we
color
were
is lapis?
we were poor though. We just had the basic 8 colors, didn't
Yeah.
we?
You know what? I never looked at them long enough because I used to eat them all.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
I ate glue. We're
I
good.
think that he licked the windows on the school bus
I like
too.
pizza.
Dave eats paint.
Oh my
Dave
So
eats
he does.
paint.
Okay, so it is
Dave
purple.
eats
It is
dirt.
purple. He says purple and pink.
Okay.
Okay.
Purple with hot pink.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you take that white sticker with the blue on it, and it stands out.
It makes it
Clashes.
pop.
I don't know how you missed that on your own car, Roy.
Yeah, that's funny.
He's probably not like me though, and sit there